Hello YouTube, it's Barbara Jean. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I have to keep my voice down a little bit. I had a dream, and I think it's an important dream. It's quite complicated. There were quite a few things elements involved in the dream, but I think it signals some change in the atmosphere, a significant change in the atmosphere. I'm a little bit shaky. I don't know why. As you recall in my last video, let me just say that I've been struggling the last 2 or 3 weeks now with some heavy burden. I don't know what it was. There was something that I was contending with in the spirit. And I've been crying out to the Lord regularly. Lord, you gotta help me. Please help me. I don't know what it is I'm dealing with. But there is some heavy burden on my soul that I haven't been able to put into words. And to tell you the truth, I'm still a little bit confused about it. But something must have broken the spirit because I had this dream. I'm a little shaky. I don't know why. As you recall, I think it was my last video, I talked about having a dream, or maybe it was the video before that. I had a dream about getting ready to go on a trip, and my sister, who represents the Faith Church, was taking me on a trip in a green bus. The green represents the faith, color of the heart. Anyway, she was coming to take me on a trip. Excuse me. I don't know. Like I said, I feel a little shaky. I don't know why. Releasing something. But I didn't want to go right at that moment because I knew that I wanted to spend one more night with my mother because I knew she wasn't going to last much longer. My mother passed, of course, in the natural a couple of years ago. We just celebrated her birthday a few days ago, and strangely enough, the night before her birthday, we had a blackout here. It lasted about an hour and a half. No explanation, no reason for it, because it's been quite cool here, so it's not like people have their air conditioners on because it's not been hot enough to have air conditioning on. It's been a very cold summer. And then again, the other night, just Monday night, we had another blackout, and we know it was the whole neighborhood because, at least the whole neighborhood, because people were coming out like, well, is your power on? Is your power on? Our power went off. I think it was about almost 2 hours it went off. Again, no explanation, no reason for it. But, so in this last dream I had, like I said, I was talking about my sister in this last dream about going on a trip. And again, I saw her again in this dream, in the beginning of this dream. She wanted me to come stay with her for a visit for a few days. The same sister who represents the Faith Church. And I guess the Lord wants me to understand there's something about the faith. Faith is the victory, and this is what I want to read. First of all, I want to read this. That's not the only, there's another part to the dream. I just want to give this part out first. 1 John 5:4. For whatsoever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that overcomes the world, even our faith. Who is he that overcomes the world, but he that believeth that Jesus is the Son of God? This is he that came by water and blood, even Jesus Christ, not by water only, but by water and blood. And it is the Spirit that beareth witness, because the Spirit is truth. For there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. And these three that bear witness on earth, the Spirit and the water and the blood, these three agree in one. So, and I think that comes into play with what my this last dream that I had. Um, this verse is very important. Just trying to pull myself together for this dream that I had was so intense. Um, Still recovering from it. First Samuel 16:23. This is just one verse here. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hands. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. 2 Samuel. I want to go to 2 Samuel, verse 7, chapter 7, verse 5. This is about David um, being commissioned that his son would build the temple. So Nathan was told, the prophet of God, to go tell David about God's decision about the temple. Go and tell my servant David, thus says the Lord, shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in, whereas I have not dwelt in any house since that time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day. But I've walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. And in the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build ye not me a house of cedar? Now therefore shalt thou say unto my servant David, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel, and I was with thee whatsoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And since that time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused them to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee a house. And when the days be fulfilled that thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. And he shall build an house for my name, and I will establish his throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chastise him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. According to all these words, and according to thy visions, so did Nathan speak unto David. Now I want to go to Revelation chapter 3, starting at verse 7. And to the angel of the church of Philadelphia write, These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth, and no man shutteth, and shutteth, and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I've set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it, for thou hast little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them which dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly, hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I'll write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and I'll write upon him my new name. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. I'm still shaking. I don't even know why. I think there's been a dramatic shift in the atmosphere. This dream had a strong indication of it. So in the second dream that I had just now, this half an hour ago, I again saw my sister. She wanted me to come stay with her for a few days. And she represents the faith church. The faith is what overcomes the world. So the Lord was showing me that it's faith that is our victory. And I've been struggling with something and really trying to dealing with some emotional issue that I'm still not quite sure what it is. I'm still not sure. It's just this emotional feeling that I have. And I've been crying out to the Lord. And the Lord's been telling me, faith is the victory, faith is victory. I think that's what he's telling me. Remain in faith. Faith is how we're going to get through this. In this dream, it started out with my sister wanted me to go for a visit, which I did. And then it took some twists and turns, which I don't remember. And then strangely enough, I was like back in ancient times. And I was with David. Or I was David. I felt like I was David. And I wasn't an old David. I was a young David. I don't know how young. Young. He was old enough to be king. Or he was king. And he was with a group of people. I don't see their faces very clearly. But it appeared that he was being rewarded for something. He was being rewarded. Shaking. David was being rewarded in this dream. And I felt like I was David, and also, no, I can't even go there. Yeah. He was with a group of people, and I was David. And they were in what appeared to be a building. It was nighttime. And they were told he was being told he was going to get some kind of a reward from God. And he was told to look up. And they said, it's up there. You have to go up there. And he was very confused. What do you mean go up there? Because when he looked up, it was just straight up to the sky. I mean, he didn't understand. He was looking straight up and he didn't understand. You mean go up there? And then all of a sudden, he started hearing a song. My mother used to sing a song to my nephew. His name was David. And they were hearing a song. The people inside this building heard a song singing. And it was, little David, play on your harp. Little David, play on your harp. My mother used to sing that to my nephew, David. Little David, play on your harp. I don't know the song lyrics. It's a very simple little children's tune. So David and this group of people went outside, and it appeared to be a temple. That they were actually inside a temple. And in front of this building, there were pillars in front of this building. And when they looked up, at first they didn't see anything. They didn't see what was up there because they heard it coming from above. Little David, play on your harp. So they looked up, like I said, it was quite a tall building, and it had long, big pillars in front of it. But when they looked up, this glowing light appeared on top of this temple, and I knew it was a temple. that they were standing out in front of this temple that had these pillars. On top of the temple, all of a sudden this light began to glow on top of this temple, and what appeared to be a house on top of the temple. You know what I'm saying? When they came outside, I realized they were in a temple because of the pillars. And when I looked up, this light on top of the temple began to glow, and it glowed kind of like opalescent. It wasn't just white, it wasn't a white light, it was more of an opalescent light, like it had different flashing, different colors in it, like an opal. And it was kind of, you ever see that movie, The Hobbit, and the dwarves were longing for the Arkenstone? It was like an opal. The Arkenstone was like, and it glowed. That's what it kind of looked like to me. When I looked up, in on top of this temple, there was another temple on top, and it wasn't as tall as the one that they were standing in front of. This temple on top of the temple had shorter pillars, um, but this opal glow of light started to to grow, and as they were looking up at it, and then this man and this woman were standing in this upper room, this upper temple, and they were looking down at David, and they were inviting him to come up. This is so huge, people. I think there's been a shift, some major shift. They were inviting him to come up like this in the song, "Little David, play on your harp." What this when David plays on his harp, the evil spirits that are sent from God depart. They were waving at him. They were looking down at him, this man and this woman, and they were waving at him to come up. Then all of a sudden there appeared to be a stairway that went up from where David was standing up to the upper temple. So David went up the stairs to speak to this man and this woman, who I believe represent the Father and the Holy Spirit. And they were discussing something to do with the temple, something to do with the Messiah who was going to come. And there was a little boy who appeared to be in this temple too. David didn't see him right away, but he was standing off to the side. It was a little boy with brown hair. And they were discussing, so this man and this woman were discussing with David that the Messiah would come. And then they turned and they pointed to this little boy. And David got kind of confused, like thinking, this is just a boy. How can this be the Messiah? He's just a boy. And then the man and the woman said, well, this is what he looks like as a child. And then they pointed to behind him, David. David turned around to see the little boy as a man. And of course, it was Jesus. It was Jesus as a man. And then the dream changed from that. And suddenly I was no longer David. I was now the bride. And I was living in this upper room. And the dream became different and quite complicated. I was living with Jesus in the dream. It gets a little sketchy. The dream kind of a little. I'm not going to go into the details of it that I can remember because I'm just not going to. It was not yet. Not ready to deal with that. But anyway, like I said, I feel like there's been a shift or something in the atmosphere because it was quite an intense dream. It was about David building the temple. It was about the third temple, being invited up to the temple, um, invited to the house of God. What above? What's above? So below. What's the word? On earth as it is in heaven. Anyway, there's a lot of things you could just, I guess, get from it, but it's not going to be a very long video. I just basically really wanted to tell you that. I think there's been a shift. Because I can feel it. Like I said, I'm still shaking. I wasn't even aware that I was shaking. And still until I started making this video, and all of a sudden I realized that I'm a little shaky. Anyway, I think that's all I need to say. That's all I can think of. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.